they sent me to Alaska, I read a ton of books. I wanted to be someone who loved reading. I just didn't. I told you. Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my very first video, so thank you guys for being here. I wanted to start off with a book newbie tag just because, you know, it makes sense for you guys to get to know me and my background a little. So I have some questions on my lap, but before I get into those, I'll just answer some things about myself and my life. I'm 28 years old. I live in Florida with my husband Matt and my dog Taffy. And we moved here in 2021 after I was in the Air Force for 6 years. I got out of the military from Alaska. And if you're asking yourself, well, I wonder why she got out of the military, it was because they sent me to Alaska. We grew up in Florida, and so yeah, that was very much obviously opposite, and I couldn't take it. The cold there is insane. But anyway, when I got out of the military, I didn't have something like that taking up my whole entire life anymore, and I needed a passion, a hobby to get into, to like feel like I belonged somewhere, right? So I got into reading. I was on TikTok a lot during the time, like most of us, and I saw From Blood and Ash everywhere. And only the first 3 books were out at that time, and I read From Blood and Ash, and then from there, I read a ton of books. I read that book in August, and that same year, with only 4 months left in the year, I read like 102 books, something like that. And yeah, I've loved reading ever since. And yeah, so that started my book journey. And I'm starting this channel because I just want to share that love. I want to talk about it with other people that are as passionate about books as I am, right? And so the types of videos I'm going to make are going to span, book reviews, rants, vlogs, going to book conventions. I go to a lot of book conventions, so I don't see too many videos specifically about book conventions. It's like, come with me to a book convention, but it's never, how to prepare for them, how to organize your schedule when you're actually there. I also volunteer at a lot of book conventions, and so I am gonna talk about that a little bit as well. And yeah, so my favorite genre, if you haven't guessed already, is Romantasy. I do love any kind of romance though, but I do love the magic aspect of it all, so I do gravitate more towards Romantasy. The book that got me into reading, like I said, is From Blood and Ash. I did read a lot as a child. I read Twilight in, like middle school years. And then, I got into boys, and so I stopped reading for a few years. And then when I was in the military, I read nonfiction a lot, just because it felt like the thing to do as someone in the military, right? And I just didn't really love it. I wanted to be someone who loved reading. I just didn't. And so my husband was like, well, why don't you try fantasy? I think you would really like that. And for years I was like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. So when I read From Blood and Ash, he was like, I told you. So I gotta give it to him. Yeah, he was a little right. And authors that I love. My auto-buy author that I can recall right now, Sierra Simone. I just finished the Lioness trilogy. Oh, it is so good. And she always teaches me so many new vocabulary words, and like the way that she writes is just incredible. I love her. I love her so much. All of her books. I've read the new Camelot series. I have, let's see. Oh, Priest, that whole series. I have the Thornchapel series. Physically, I have not read it yet though, but it's coming soon. And yeah, so I love her. Laura Thalassa, obviously Sarah J. Maas, L.J. Andrews, Penelope Douglas. I love them all. You name an author that writes romantasy, I probably really love their work. And yeah, so some books I'm excited to start soon. I'm filming this in November, the beginning of November, and Brimstone comes out the end of this year, and I loved Quicksilver so much. It was a 6-star read for me. It is one of the best books I've read this year. I'm so excited. So yeah, anyway, that's a book I'm gonna read soon. My toxic reading trait I will read a book and forget what it was about almost immediately. I I'm in a book club with a couple friends, and we we go to talk about the book, and I'm trying to recall a scene and I forget the main character's name. I forget like main events in books, so I think that's gonna be something, some videos that I try to film as well, like trying to recall, like a book recall challenge, trying to recall books that I've literally just read, and it's so embarrassing. I went to Romantasy BookCon this past weekend, and I'm talking to Melissa K. Rorick, and I was sent A Dawn of Chaos and Fury by Kensington. I'm on the Legacy Keepers art team, and by the way, incredible. I have 1 hour left of that book, and I love, oh it, yeah, god tier series, god tier. But I am telling Melissa about how I know people complained about Tessa being like an annoying FMC, but that I didn't really see that until the last book. I was like, now I kind of get it. She's, yeah, but you know, there's a reason. Of course, obviously, yes. I'm not holding it against her. But I couldn't even remember Tessa's name. Like, I'm trying to tell the author of this incredible series about her book and like why I loved it, and I couldn't even remember the name of the female main character. It was so embarrassing. I did recall it after like an awkward pause, thank God, but yeah, it was rough. Okay, so another question I have: paperback or hardcover? And this is a tricky one for me. If I have to read it physically, paperback. But I do read most things on my Kindle. Even if I own them physically, I have Kindle Unlimited, so I will usually read them on my Kindle if I can. But if I read it on my Kindle and then I get the hardcover or the physical copy, I'll get a hardcover. So hardcover for trophies, paperback for physically reading, if that makes sense. And then the last question I have: how I organize my bookshelves. I feel like this is, obviously it's subjective, but I organize all of mine by size, or I try to. On all my shelves, you'll see that like they're all the same height. If I could do that. This series, okay, first of all, why is this one different than, anyway, you get what I'm trying to say. I organize them all by size and try to keep them standardized that way. I don't know, it just looks like visually appealing to me because I know where everything is. I don't need to like alphabetize them or anything. And I think organizing them by color is like pretty, but it doesn't look natural to me personally. But yeah, that is all the questions I have. I hope you guys will subscribe, stick around. I'm gonna try to post once a week on here, and we'll see how this goes. So thank you guys for joining so much.